Howdy ho ho, my good humans. How are you doing? It is time for the final, well, I guess not the final round, but our close to final round, our final round of Game Awards predictions before the actual nominees are revealed. And I figured what better way to lead into that season than to predict every, or at least every major nominee for the Game Awards 2024. So far we've done our Game of the Year predictions. Now we'll be going through and predicting in best game direction, best narrative, best art direction, so forth and so on. As you see on the screen right here, we're going to predict all the nominees that could be nominated for these categories. And then, of course, whenever the official nominees are revealed, we'll come back and we'll make our lock it in selections. I think that's like November 12th or something when they fully unveil all of the nominees. Loon, how you feeling about this, man? You ready to kick this thing off?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and just jump into it. Um, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna quickly rapid fire run through because if we sit here and try to explain every single pick, we'll be here for 18 hours. So we're gonna rapid fire run through our picks and then we'll take a look at each other's list after we're done selecting and we'll, discuss a little bit of our list after each selection or after each list has been fully laid out. So, Loon, we're going to start with you in best game direction. What are you selecting here, my friend?
So we got Metaphor was the first one,
Yep.
and then Shadow of the Erd Tree, Astrobot,
Good pick.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Dragon Age Velguard.
Nice. So I'm just going to throw Dragon Age 4 because
Yeah.
I have no idea how to spell Velgard. All right. So let me go to my list here. I think we have pretty similar list. I have Metaphor as well. I have Dragon Age as well. I'm a little bit iffy on Dragon Age because once again, I think Dragon Age is the only one on either of our lists that hasn't come out yet. So it's like a little bit hard to predict on that one. But I do think that I think they're doing interesting shit with the Western role-playing game with a more action-driven approach and really kind of getting in there and making it feel like you can create the build that you want to create in an action RPG and make it feel like because I think that's a lot of the problem with action RPGs, people where it's like, okay, yeah, it's a role-playing game, but we play very similar. Like my character plays similar to your character plays similar to someone else's. And the role playing really comes from the dialogue decisions and, your equipment variation and stuff like that. But with Dragon Age, it seems like they're trying to make it to where the combat really feels like you can create your own style of character, your own rook, as it is in this case. So I think that is a solid direction to be pushing towards for the Western role playing genre. Um, I'm gonna go Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I think once again, talking about in that genre, in the Metroidvania genre, I think that they did a lot there to let me make sure I'm not blocking it with my screen there. They did a lot there to add new features for that genre and kind of I think that you'll see Metroidvanias in the future looking to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and being like, okay, we're going to implement that feature into our game, so forth and so on. Helldivers 2, I feel like when that came out, that had the thing we were talking about. What was it like the battle? I forget the battle master, whatever it's called, where they would add new little things here and there, and it just they had some special. I know it's kind of died down now, but they had some special sauce early on.
Yeah, no, it's begun making like a clawback. I believe they did some patches and stuff which kind of dipped the game and interest. They've kind of reverted that, so it's definitely climbing back up then.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to throw this one out there. Astrobot for sure. 3D platformer that's that quality in 2024. That is a direction of games that I think a lot of people would like to see continued on moving forward. Non-Mario related 3D platformers that are high, super high quality. Best narrative loon. So let's head on over here. And I guess I should say the only thing we don't have similar on this is Rebirth and Erdtree.
Hmm.
So those are our only differences on best game direction. And I think you're probably right though. I think Rebirth will definitely get in there. Um Now looking at your list, I feel like that is one I probably should slot in somewhere, but I went ahead and already made my predictions. I don't want to steal from your list. So best narrative, what you got for me?
A metaphor yet again.
Absolutely.
Uh, I'll spoil it already. It's going to be nominated for a lot of categories. It
Yep.
is unbelievably, surprisingly good.
Yes.
And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the second one. Uh, Dragon Age 4, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and then Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Nice. Yeah, the only reason I didn't take Silent Hill 2 is because the narrative already, it existed in 2001. But I think that I see that's the tough thing because if we're looking at just best narrative games that came out this year, regardless of remake, whatever, that is undoubtedly, it might even be the best overall story that's released this year. It's an immaculate story. So that's the really, really tough thing on this. So I went with Rebirth as well. I went with Metaphor as well. I'll try to line up all of ours first. I also went with Dragon Age 4. And what else? Oh yeah, I went with Infinite Wealth.
So
So
what's
we
the anomaly?
yeah, so we got four of the five that are the same. I just started playing Neva,
Hmm,
the from the creators of Greece, however you say that shit.
I
Um
agree.
Gree. I think that this is undoubtedly one of the best stories of 2024. Very minimalistic, but a great story nonetheless. I'm gonna throw that in as my fifth slot. I think that we'll see with Life is Strange Double Exposure. I feel like that one could be up there as well, but I'm gonna go Neva as my fifth slot. Best art direction. What you got for me over
Shocking, shocking. No one metaphor.
there?
But the other four on this list are completely new. I don't think I've picked any in them. So Animal Realm, Plucky Squire, Nine Souls,
Jesus Christ, I'm having a stroke.
and then Inkulinati, which I think you
Is that how you spell it? Or am I missing an I somewhere?
uh
Is it?
INKULINATI.
All right, I think we got that.
There we
Uh,
go.
yeah, that's like the sort of pin brush strokes and all that. That was on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks really damn. All of these incredible art style on every single one. Metaphor, just a mind-bogglingly beautiful art style, especially for not pushing like any sort of photorealism. It lo- it's it. I remember I saw something from Digital Foundry where they were talking about, it's like a PS3 era game visually, but it's like I don't know, man. Our art style, art direction carries It really does the photorealism, all that shit. I do have one photorealistic looking game on my list, but art direction trumps uh visual fidelity 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, for sure. Some people forget that Persona 5 launched on PS3.
True.
So that's what the foundation is being built off of and stuff. And I wouldn't say it's extremely similar. It's kind of doing its own thing, but they borrow a lot from each other.
Yeah, the menu screens in Metaphor
Mm.
are unbelievable. So yeah, I definitely have Metaphor. Undoubtedly, I think we have Metaphor on almost everything. Um, I am also going to go with I have Plucky Squire as well.
Yep.
Just ridiculously gorgeous. Maybe not the greatest game ever, but visually impeccable. And I'm staying in that same camp. Harold Halibut, the, handcrafted sort of claymation
Mm.
models and a beautiful, beautiful game. And fourth up, so this is the one I'm gonna go Hellblade 2. Think Hellblade 2 is a little bit underrated in terms of, yeah, it definitely relies on photorealism, but lighting, creating ambiance and atmosphere with the lighting and certain shots of Senua and just certain shots of the environments and stuff. The art direction specifically, not just the photorealism and how beautiful it is in that regard with Unreal Engine 5 and all of that shit, but the art direction in that game is actually pretty strong. My fifth pick, I'm gonna go with Black Myth Wukong. I
Mm.
think in terms of scale, in terms of just you see like the snow stacking and all that shit, and there's some really impressive and sure, once again somewhat leaning, I wouldn't say totally leaning into that photorealistic thing that we're talking about, but elements of that, no doubt.
Well, it's still impressive when they manage to pull it off. And what's more impressive in this day and age is being able to pull it off and it not being like performance intensive, like it not hindering the experience. That's something
Totally.
like, for instance, like Lords of the Fallen didn't go for photorealism, but it went for a very strong art style and it ended up impacting the performance of the game. So it's good when that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Moving on to best score and music. So you want me to go ahead and type it in now or
Yep, get it out of the way. Man, that battle music is so epic.
Yeah,
Like that seriously, that needs to win best score of music for me.
I'm gonna go ahead and type it in for mine too. I have
Yeah.
Metaphor listed there. This is gonna continue on and on.
Rebuff,
Yep.
Persona 3 Reload, Silent Hill 2 Remake, and then Shadow of the Oak Tree.
Silent Hill 2 remake is such a good pick because they added in new music and shit. I totally slept on that. I didn't I should have selected that for one of mine. I ended up not. And I think that's a mistake. That's definitely gonna get nominated, I believe. So I went with Metaphor. I also went with Rebirth. I also went with, okay, no, I think that's where we separate. We have those two, and then the rest are different. I went with, once again, Hellblade 2. I think that, I remember that Game Awards performance with some of that music in Hellblade 2 that was just, that shit was nasty, man. It was so, so cool. Like kind of the blend of the metal and the Viking sort of, yeah, that shit was sick. That performance was sick, and that music in the game is sick. I also went with Astrobot for sure. Astrobot has some great music, and I am gonna close off with Dragon Age 4.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about you were telling me about that big ass epic song that was introduced into Inquisition, and
Yep.
so you got to imagine they'll try to double down, create something even a little bit more grandiose than that with Veilguard. You got to one up yourself.
I would hope so. The thing is, they didn't do it too much in the previous games. And I remember it's called The Dawn Will Come, I think, the song name. And in the video that's been uploaded to YouTube that shows like the official thing, it has like one of the designers that actually worked on it. And they said they were extremely hesitant because when you're doing something like this, you don't usually do, it balances on a very fine line of this is either going to go down really well or it's going to make people be like, ugh. And you
Hmm.
kind of like that was kind of forced or whatever. And like, fortunately, it landed. So hopefully they can build off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that okay, that makes me a little scared, but we'll we'll lock it in. I don't want to change my shit because then it's like, wait, I feel like that's the fun of it is sticking to what you initially threw out there. So we'll see. Hopefully Dragon Age I'm just gonna always call it Dragon Age 4. I don't give a shit. Hopefully it really delivers in score and music. Best performance. This is where I do think Dragon Age is really gonna go pretty damn hard. Um, do you have metaphor on here?
I do.
You do, you do. Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
Gallica.
Right, 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 right. Okay, so you took okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got it right here. Perfect. Boom, boom. Gonna go
Hopefully
ahead
this
and
works.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little bit smaller than the others. Just copy and paste in this text. That way we can get the
We wanted to make sure to get the actors' names in it along
yeah,
with the game and stuff, and not
absolutely.
having to sit here and spell it out one by one because
Right.
some of them are a pain to spell. But yeah, while you're typing them out, I'll just talk about them to buy you time.
No, you're good.
Gallica, she is really, really incredibly voice acted. And the thing that was impressive about it is that a big concern of yours was coming into this game was the voice performances. Are they going to be squeaky and annoying and grating to listen to for, you're talking about like a 60 plus hour experience. And up to you've played more than me, I think. I'm still on like the 8 hour mark. Up until now, every single voice performance has been incredible, like standout. Like any one of them characters, Stroll, you had
The
Hulkenberg was
Hulkenberg,
the
yep.
other person that's been introduced. I'm drawing a blank on the old guy because he has like
Oh, Ge
two or
Gr
three different names. Grius, that was
Grius,
what
yep.
they, yeah. Grius's performance was really good. Even the um the characters that just get placed randomly, just for
Yeah.
like very short periods of time, just outstanding for like the captain and stuff. Just
Yes.
outstanding performances. So
Yeah. I'm like 20 hours into it and I still haven't run across a character that I have a very low tolerance for that shit. I hate annoying like squeaky loud. I do not like that shit at all in games and there's very very little of that in Metaphor. So, yeah, shout out to it. What's your second pick, man?
uh Melina Juergens for Hellblade.
Perfect.
I think she obviously needs a shout. That's my nod for Hellblade. Probably should have been nominated for other stuff on my list, but I don't know. It's not my game, and I think it didn't go down as well as many people would hoped either at the same time. So
Totally.
right, third is Clive Standard for Captain Titus,
Totally.
and shout out to him because he actually picked up the torch from the previous actor, and that's a big. It's not like a huge, huge role, you just have to sit there and sound stoic, but he did his job well. And when you put them side to side, or having played the original and you don't realize that the actor's been replaced, that's outstanding. That's outstanding work.
Absolutely.
The fourth, Rasbane for Red McWraith for Vanishes.
Yeah, his
Gotta
performance
show
was
my love to the Scots.
his performance in Banishers was immaculate, man. Such a and such a like a slow burn, subtle. Like it's not really, you don't really even realize how impressive it is for the majority of the game. And then he just like hits you with a couple moments where you're like, oh, there's a lot more range and depth to this character than you even realize.
Mm, absolutely. And finally, Cody Christian for Cloud Strife, the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect, man. So I have him as well on my list. Just going in here and resizing the text that
Yeah.
way that people can see it. Want to give these voice actors their shout, man. Um, so what I'm gonna go to my notes right here, and I apologize, guys. You're gonna see a bunch of misspelling and shit that I'll correct real quick. Uh, I'm just gonna drop mine in here. Let's see. Boom. And hopefully this pans out. If not, I'm gonna be hella sad. It did not pan out too well at all. But here we go. I'm gonna resize it real quick and I'll number it in a minute. Um, so these are my nominees, and Loon covered a few of them as well. It's for some reason Solus gets even bolded text. He's even standing out from the rest. I got
Just to
Cody
match his
Christensen.
bald head, of course.
So I got Cody Christensen as Cloud that Loon alluded to earlier. I have I always it's not it's Melena Jurgens, right?
Melina, isn't it?
Melina, okay. Yep. I think you're right. I always misspell this shit. Melina Jurgens. I think I'm still misspelling it. No, I'm right. Okay. As Senua in Hellblade 2, I'm definitely going to butcher this. Safia Llewellyn Fayed for Maxine in Life is Strange Double Exposure. Um, and then I went with Gareth David Lloyd as Solus in Dragon Age The Veilguard. And I went with Erika Ishii. She is voicing Rook. And that's literally what I wrote in my notes. She's voicing female Rook in DA4. So I'll
Out of
remove.
curiosity, when you're going to be doing your Dragon Age 4 playthrough, is that what you're going to be selecting? Are you going to be going down the male or female route? What do you
Oh
tend
no.
to gravitate towards?
Always, what I do with every single character that I create a dude that looks mildly like me, but I just put him on every steroid that's ever been created. I create a version of me that looks like fucking he's undergone whatever Bane went through in Batman. Dude, I can't wait until you see my character that I made in Undisputed, the boxing game. It is, I literally mi minimized all of my other stats and just put 100% punching power and just made the biggest fucking tank that you could possibly make in the game. That's what I do with all of my creative characters. They're just big ol' ass tanks. I guess I should mention I have two Dragon Age
Mm.
performances down for best performance, which I don't know if that happens often at all. I'm really thinking that, I mean, Dragon Age BioWare games are always performance driven. So yeah. I mean,
We
it,
should say as well, it's not been like a cracking standout year for voice performances.
true.
Because the thing, like a lot of the great narrative-driven games this year have been JRPGs. So stuff like Metaphor and stuff, it's not fully voiced. You have moments of that game where it's text-based. Same with Infinite Wealth. You have moments of that game where it's text-based and stuff like that. So I think if there's going to be any year where two will get nominated from a game that's just fully leaning into voice acting, it'll be this.
Well, and also I think with like without a shadow of a doubt, Troy Baker would have been nominated for Indiana Jones, but it misses the cutoff. You know what I mean? Because that dude seems to be crushing it as Indiana Jones.
Do you know what though? I'm kind of glad that he's missed the opportunity at the same time because it's that thing where they've dominated the industry for so long. Him, Troy Baker, and
Nolan North
Nolan North. I look, man, you know they're always gonna deliver you like an 8 out of 10 performance minimum every single time.
every
But it's
time.
nice to have five completely new people that you just don't see at all ever.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
more happy with that.
I mean, Milena Juergens, I feel like at this point she's pretty well established after that Hellblade 1 performance. I feel like she's kind of ascending towards that territory of a Nolan North, a Troy Baker, but definitely you're right. Not in that realm of like, oh, new Far Cry, Troy Baker. Oh, new Troy Baker. Oh, new Troy Baker. It's it's not quite that yeah, I do get what you're saying for sure. Best independent game. All right,
Right.
Lemon. This is a
Yeah.
stacked category.
We were talking about struggling for certain things with performance and stuff and being a little bit wobbly. It was actually difficult for the complete opposite reasons for independent. But I led off with Power World
Yep.
and then Animal World. Got to give a shout out to Balatro, dominating for a few months there. Plucky Squire, I'll tip the hat to. And then this one was a little bit, I'm not entirely sure on, but I'm just going to lock it in anyway. Hades 2, because I don't think it's actually out for early access, but it's Hades 2. I
Yeah.
think it would be the same as if like Hollow Knight launched into early access. There's no way that that wouldn't gain, you know, an award slot.
Yeah. That's the tricky thing. Um, because I tend to agree. I don't know why I have my list all it was started off nice and lined up with yours, and now it's all over the place. It is what it is. Um, That's the thing, because Hades 2, and there's also, I don't know if you've seen this blow up, the card TGS card shop simulator.
Oh yeah.
It's got like 50,000 concurrent players on Steam, overwhelmingly positive, but it's technically in early access as well. And I really want to play that. I saw you can like spray. There's like stinky people in your card shop and you can like spray them with Febreze or some shit. It's so fucked up. Oh
Oh,
man. All right. So I'm gonna go with Neva. Like I said, I've been playing this. It goes unbelievably hard. I'm gonna go with Power World as well. That you had jotted down. I am UFO 50 is one I really, really want to put in here, but I think it runs up against some stiff competition because everything on your list is available on console and PC.
yeah. That's what I kind of tried to.
Is Hades 2 available on Xbox yet?
Oh no, actually, no. Hades isn't. That's the only one that. But for the other ones, it was what I was aiming for. Because
Yeah.
when you're thinking of indie game, they already have usually a small install base a lot of the time
Hmm.
compared to, the big AAA hitters. So you want to try and get as many titles on there that are accessible everywhere to give it the
Well,
best chance.
and it's like Hades 2 is already so established,
Yeah.
super giant. I mean, just that first game alone. That's why they made their first sequel.
Mm.
I I'm gonna go Plucky Squire. Didn't quite live up to what I wanted it to be, but I think just it- big name indie game in terms of what people are voting on, it often does come down to what you played. Plucky Squire.
I mean, with that as well, its weakest points were towards the end, right? At least it had a pretty stronger beginning.
I mean, I saw it get pretty good reviews from a lot of people. I kind of thought the game just I just constantly kind of found it underwhelming,
Mm.
honestly. Unfortunately, because you know how excited I was for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Animal Well. I'm gonna go Animal Well. And for my fifth and final selection, oh, duh, of course, Balatro. Yeah. I mean, there a part of me considered Balatro for game of the year. Like it's what a what a feat that game achieved. That dude that created it, that independent, one solo man out there creating this game, and now he is a multimillionaire.
I
How
mean, the same
crazy.
thing happened with Vampire Survivors, right? It's what
Right.
when you base something off of gambling,
Right.
it's an instant success.
So we're
Right,
moving to
best
best
action game.
action. This is tough. This is tough because we got best action and best action adventure and best RPG. All three of these very much blend into one another at certain times.
That's the problem with modern gaming is that there's so much crossover now. There's no that many years ago you could much easily distinguish what is an action, what is an RPG and stuff. But everybody seems to be trying to take a crack at everything. So I tried my best, and I'm sure you did as well. But Helldivers 2 for best action, Space Marine 2, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, and then I'm fairly certain, as I said, I think I saw an article and I think Stalker 2 just makes the cut
Okay.
unless it gets delayed again. But I'll take that L if it gets delayed again because I've seen I don't think it's gonna get delayed because stuff has even come out today that they're full-blown reviews basically already live
Hmm.
on like Series S's. Apparently it's struggling
Oh,
to no
I
one's
bet.
surprise. Um, but it seems to be doing okay on Series X's.
Well, dude, I mean, with those weather effects and all that shit,
Mm,
I mean, that Series S, you see the damn tornadoes happening in the game. That Series S is gonna get spun up in a damn tornado
yeah,
trying to process that.
living up to the hot plate name.
Right, literally. Um, best action. So I think we have Space Marine 2 in common. This is so damn hard, man, because like I have a few in here that definitely could be action adventure. I went with Stellar Blade. I think that Stellar Blade is so underrated this year. I went with Wukong, and I also went with Another Crab's Treasure. Definitely kind of seems like that's been forgotten about to some degree. Souls like where you're playing as a damn crab. I mean, that
I mean, it's
is,
crazy because Stellar Blade went was red hot, and then Wukong came out, and everybody just forgot about it. It's kind of
yeah.
crazy.
No, you're 100% correct. Um, I feel like for my fifth slot, I want to. So th this is the tough thing. Dragon's Dogma 2, RPG or best action? Like, where does that lie? You know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna throw it in there.
So, okay, I was going to give my reasoning
Ah!
as to why you wouldn't. Oh,
Uh,
I've drawn a blank. I thought you meant Dragon Age. I was going to be like,
oh, of
I
course not. Of course not.
was like, I'm sure the action will be fine, but I think it would probably be better suited for an RPG. But yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 for sure. I think its RPG mechanics are decent and stuff,
Right.
but its combat is where it shines. And I think when you're selecting the games to fit in the categories, I think that's where you have to fixate on what is the strongest point of that, and that's when you lead off with it. And I think yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 fits in perfectly there because that combat is
Oh my God.
very good.
Well, and that's the thing, Loon, where it's like I'm looking at best action, and I would kind of be bummed to not include Dragon's Dogma 2 when I think it clears all these games on combat. On just on the core action experience. I'm taking Dragon's
Especially
Dogma 2 over all of
especially
them.
for you, but this is where I'm going to argue against my own point in the next one.
Okay. Hit me with a best action adventure.
So I'll lead off with Dragon's Dogma 2. And
Okay.
the reason I'm going to do that and completely count on my own point is because you loved the combat, and I loved the combat as well. But that's not what like tied me down. Like I was going through every cave you could do, every single thing, going back and forth, and even like repeating, like going back and forth constantly. So it was the exploration for me. So I think the adventure side spoke to me more than the combat.
Hmm.
So that's why I've put it
See,
there.
that's the thing, because like I'm thinking about Stellar Blade now, and Stellar Blade had cool puzzles, cool traversal. It's tough. These are three pretty tough well, RPG maybe a little bit less so this year because it's so stacked with RPGs, but action and action adventure are tough. But my bad. Go ahead, man.
Well, that's the perfect Lincoln because Stellar Blade is number two
Yep.
for me. Black Myth Wukong.
Yep.
Banishes Ghost of New Eden.
Such a good pick. I'm gonna even spell out the whole name, give it its respect.
Hell yeah. And Rise of the Ronin.
That's an excellent pick as well.
I've gained so much more respect for because it's Team Ninja, right?
Yep.
Koei Tecmo and stuff. Like having just played through Wukong, not Wukong, keep mixing up Wolong last month. They've really struck something with me to the
Yeah.
point where I'm like, I'm actually envious that Rise of the Ronin isn't on Xbox now.
I gotta ask you, I know totally off, well, somewhat off topic. Wukong. I know we're both in the camp of we're waiting until it gets a physical release to dive into it.
Hmm.
Do you think there's any chance of you seeing it on a sale digitally and picking it up, or are you sticking to your guns with like no physical, no purchase? Because I feel a little bit different with Wukong than I do with Alan Wake 2, where Alan Wake 2 is like, bitch, you're Epic is funding and publishing this. With
Yeah.
Wukong, it's not as straightforward. It doesn't have, which I'm sure I'm sure they're well funded, but it's not, they don't got Epic money pushing this thing.
I mean, it's not even available on Xbox, period.
Oh, duh.
So
Right.
it's not as hard for me to wait as it was like Alan Wake and stuff. But no, there's been, like this year alone, like Space Marine 2. I didn't buy that physically.
Oh, wow.
You'd think I would have, like that was something where I was like, no, I'm not like with Metaphor, I had to wait an extra day for it. That's not happening. Like I'm playing this the minute that goes live because it was the most anticipated title for me this year.
They're starting to
So
get us a little bit with like the 3 day early access if you buy it
yeah,
digitally. It's like,
no,
bitch.
exactly. And it's just like I'm sorry, guys. Like when it's your most anticipated, you can't tell because this is the thing. People judge that, and it's just like, how many of you are going to dive on that opportunity if GTA 6 does that? So don't judge me.
Bro, it's so crazy you bring that up. I swear to God, the GameStop manager at my local GameStop, we had this exact same conversation about a month ago where we were talking about $100 games being introduced. Star Wars Outlaws, because I went in there to buy the
Mm,
$100 version of it, like a big goof, and at least it did come with a physical copy. And which is once again, it's like Dragon Ball Z, the Sparking Zero. To play it early, you had to buy it digitally. Like there wasn't a physical
mm.
way to buy it early. Like I couldn't pay $100 physically and get it 3 days early, which is such a bummer. So at least shout out to Ubisoft for ripping me off and at least giving me a physical copy of it that has almost zero fucking. You had to download pretty much the entire game to be able to play it. But Jesus, but I I was talking to my GameStop, the manager of my local GameStop, and he was like the only game he'll pay $100 for is like a Red Dead 3 or a GTA 6. And I was like, because I remember all the rumors about Rockstar thinking about $100 games and shit.
Huh?
And then as he said it, I was like, dude. And then he was talking about like I'll pay $100 for no early anything, no
Yeah,
premium, nothing, just $100 for that game. And I was like, that's such a scary thought. He was like, if I had it, this is what he said. He said, if I had it right here for you, $100 base game right now, would you pay it? Like, yeah, yeah.
no, exactly, exactly. And this is the scary when an industry big name has that much weight because they have the ability to decide the pricing if they want. They really could. They could be like, well, it's a Rockstar game, it's going to be amazing. 120, guys. And there'll be a lot of like uproar about that,
Yeah,
but that's not going to impact sales, I can tell you right now.
yeah.
It will be the best-selling game the week of its launch.
Yeah, it'll probably be the best-selling game of the year the week of
Yep,
its launch.
yep.
But then it's like the funny thing is, and it's total tangent. I'll try to timestamp around this so people don't fucking have to listen to our long-winded rambles. But you'll see like Dying Light 3 or Horizon Forbidden East, or whatever the hell, Horizon Forbidden Space. And they'll try to do the $120 thing. And yeah, you're gonna sell about 12 copies.
No, exactly.
There's only certain names that can get away with it.
Well,
Um,
yeah, you either need to fall on the sword and stuff like that. It's like Evolve had to die so that level of egregious microtransactions day one could live. It's really unfortunate. Something needs to be sacrificed if you're not a big name. And then they're like, well, they already tried it, guys. So you're used to it. And then that becomes the norm.
totally. Totally, man. Moving on into best action adventure for me. I had Banishers as well, and I'll just throw Banishers down instead of the whole name since I have the whole name on your list, and we gave it its proper respect. I am gonna go Silent Hill 2 remake.
Mm.
I'm also going to go with Zelda, the Echoes. I'm just gonna type in Zelda Echoes. You know what I'm talking about. Echoes of the Wisdom, Echoes of Wisdom, whatever it's called. I'm gonna go Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. It's tough to really figure out where to categorize Metroidvanias because you have it in action. And it's like, yeah, that would totally fit in best action game. But they're, good puzzle solving, good traversal, good platforming, good exploration. Like, I think that could go in almost either category. I am going to close it off. Damn, this is a mistake. I have Hellblade 2
Uh-oh.
wrote, I have Hellblade 2 wrote down. That is not the correct choice. There's something else here that I'm forgetting. Damn. Maybe, you know what? I don't want to change it, but I think you're right. I think the correct choice is Rise of the Ronin. You know what I really hope ends up getting there? I hope Slitterhead. I hope Slitterhead ends up getting nominated for Best Action Adventure. Oh, I
When
want
does
that
that
to
launch?
next month. There's been no marketing for that thing. I was talking about it in that Xbox partner preview video. I'm like, I hope that it gets some shine there. It launches, I think, November 6th or November 8th or something.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That is. Yeah, I do think though, if I looking at it, and I'm not going to change it because I don't want to steal from you, but you took the dub there with Rise of the Ronin over Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 is not going to get nominated, but I don't want to change it
Right, the most stacked list. It feels
without a
like
doubt.
this year. Holy crap! Especially for Xbox. This is what like, yeah, we missed out on what do you call it? Rebirth, which
Yep.
is a big blow. But for like actual releases this year, it's been just non-stop every month, hard hitting, either RPG or JRPG. So definitely spoiled this year. Leading off with no surprise, Metaphor.
Absolutely.
Persona 3 Reload, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and to tie it all together and my entire list be JRPGs, Unicorn Overlord, I think deserves a shout.
Nice. I'm gonna spell out its whole name again to give the proper respect.
Hell
Unicorn
yeah.
Overlord. I so we have, of course, Metaphor, of course, Rebirth, and I think that's where we no Infinite Wealth.
I was gonna say that's criminal if that doesn't get
Ah,
enough.
I think that's where we deviate from one another. Um, because I have Dragon Age. Just gonna type in DA4, and
Mm.
then I have. Oh, that's right. I moved Dragon's Dogma 2 from best RPG. So that leaves a void there. So I'm gonna steal from you here. Sorry, Loon. I'm gonna take P3 reload from you. Um I think that would you say P3 or Unicorn?
It's so difficult because when you're thinking about you're thinking metaphor. is obviously getting the nod as
Yeah.
like the main Atlas title, but P3 was very, very good as well. I think P3 at least burned a little bit longer than Unicorn.
Yeah.
I think Unicorn was definitely the more niche thing that Atlas has published this year, or had their name on this year.
Have you seen that Beyond Galaxy Land game?
I don't think, not by name.
Dude, that shit goes extremely hard. I've been playing it. Um, I think it's undoubtedly one of the best RPGs of the year, but it just came out at the worst possible time because I put it down for probably the same reason that nobody else picked it up. It's because there was so much else on the horizon. It came out
Is
this
it
month.
Beyond Galaxy Land?
Yep. It's so, so good, dude. Turn-based, kind of. It's like turn-based Mass Effect. It's really,
This
really
does look, oh
strong.
my God, the reviews.
It is so, so good,
It's not
dude.
doing too well on Metacritic, but it is what it is. It's
Is it
9 out of
not?
10s it's 78 on Metacritic. It's
Oh,
9
that's
out of 10s
criminal.
everywhere else.
Combat's a little bit slow, but man, that story is so compelling. You know what? I I'm gonna go, dude. It's such a stacked year because we also have Visions of Mana. We
Mm.
have that Ys Nordics game. Like this is a strong. I'm gonna stick with P3. No, 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 because you know what? That's straight up stealing from you. I'm gonna go with Visions of Mana. I mean, it didn't make a big splash. I'm aware, but fuck it. We're going Visions of Mana. That way I don't have to be a thief from Loon's list. Most anticipated. So this is maybe the easiest, or no, actually, in a way, it's the easiest one to pick nominees from, but it's the hardest to finalize it down to your five. Because
Yep.
2025 is just loaded. So what you got for
Yep.
most anticipated?
I mean, obviously GTA 6
Yep.
gets right in there. Kingdom Come 2, Resident Evil 9, which, is a kind of a shot in the dark. We don't know whether or not that's coming, but they've been doing really quick turnovers with the titles. Death Stranding 2.
No doubt.
And then the last one, it was really difficult to find like a fifth, but I was like, I need to give some love to like Xbox's side. I decided to go with Fable. But looking back on it, I'm like, should probably go with something else because there are other titles. I don't think Avowed would make the cut, but it probably should have been Doom. But I'll
Yeah.
stick with Fable.
I went with Doom on
Mm.
mine. So I'll throw in Doom. I also went with GTA 6. I also went with Death Stranding. Ain't no way that a Kojima game's coming out next year and Keely ain't shouting that bitch out.
Mm.
Um, joking, obviously. I don't think it's rigged. All right, so here is where it really gets tough. I have Monster Hunter, Ghost of Yotei, Metroid Prime 4, and Mafia. So we got four games left and only two slots left. I think got to throw some Nintendo love out there. Gonna go Metroid Prime 4. So like if this is my list, Mafia for sure, but it's not my list. I What do you think, Ghost of Yotei or Monster Hunter Wilds? What do you think is like more?
So Ghost of Yotei's had like a little bit of a wobbly announcement. It's been, you know, it's not been getting like the nicest coverage and the hottest coverage. To put it into perspective, Monster Hunter, like people in my circle who've never touched a Monster Hunter game are like, man, this looks amazing. I can't
That's
wait. So when you've reached a new demographic and you've got them hyped, I think that's what edges it,
Yeah, and
in
it's
my
it's
opinion.
like I think also you have Monster Hunter coming out early 2025, and we've seen so much gameplay, and we really haven't seen much of Ghost of Yotei at all.
Something Capcom gets really well, like done really well, is the early release dates in years a
Totally.
lot of the times.
it's so stupid, man, in my opinion, to try to stack all your games into October, November to hit that holiday rush when it's like, sure, you might get an increased sale or two, but whenever you have the steepest competition humanly possible, it's like,
There's only so much money floating around in them holiday months. Like it's the biggest, spending month, sure. But there's going to be people that are going to be like, it's even going to be their most anticipated, the game that they're going to go for. And if your game isn't there, it's wasted.
yeah, and there's only so much time too. It's like, what the fuck, man? Um, this is the toughest category of the entire list. Best adaptation. It's kind of the toughest and the easiest at the same time. The toughest thing is like, are they even gonna have this category? Because there's
Yeah,
so few.
it's been a tragic year. The beginning of the year had a list of like 60 things. Like they were saying, "Oh, we've heard of this TV show, this TV show, this TV," and it's just like, okay, cool. And that's kind of what annoys me is when things get announced that early, because then you have the expectation if you're announcing it, it should be releasing soon, but it obviously didn't. Most 99% of that list got delayed. So you're left with because I couldn't even think of a fifth. I was like, there's no way Borderlands
You're
is
right.
on this fucking list. There's no way. I'd rather not do the list than put that in there. But Fallout needs to get shouted out. Like, if
Yeah.
any, I don't think unless Like a Dragon, Yakuza, which will be the second one,
And that's Amazon as
unless
well.
yeah, unless that blows it out of the park, like Fallout is just gonna walk this list. I really feel. Tomb Raider from Netflix.
I'm gonna watch that. I know there's fucking zero time, free time, but I saw it, in like the home page whenever you're scrolling through your media bar on PlayStation. I
Mhm.
saw it pop up and I was like, I need to watch this. I love Tomb Raider, and
Mhm.
I need to check that out because I've heard, it's kind of got caught in that same goofy culture war dog shit where people are upset about absolutely anything and everything, and you never really know. That's the thing that bums me out is like I never know what is honest criticism versus what is just outrage porn, easy clicks.
I when the only thing I'm seeing about it is people adapting the art by removing the nose and making it more feminine and then removing the chin and I'm just like no,
It's so
there's nothing
crazy.
wrong with it. If that's your complaint, that's shut the fuck up.
It's so
I
goofy,
simply
man. Like I just want to see
uh
if it's a cool Tomb Raider story. Like it's
yep,
really it's so simple. Like show on television, good story, bad story.
that's what we need. Arcane season 2. Maybe that's me underselling Arcane as well because that didn't get like a nod, but I'm not really like a League. I think it's League of Legends, isn't it?
I've never watched it. I don't know anything about any of that world.
But it is meant to be really good,
Yep.
but it's not something I've dipped my toe into. I had to just sell for Knuckles.
Yeah.
Like, tragic.
Well, Loon, what I'm gonna do here, I'm literally gonna copy and paste because not only is not only do we share the same list, I think this is the only list to possibly share. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if there are like I don't know if there's anything else we even have to pick from other than Borderlands.
I don't believe so. Obviously, shout out in the comments if we got that really, really wrong, and you're like, no, there's this.
Right.
But I was looking for because I sent you the message, and I was like, I'm stumped. Like, I, I can't find a fifth.
Yeah.
So,
No, I couldn't find because I think I shouted out Knuckles and you shouted out Arcane and
Yakuza.
Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we kind of had to combine our powers there and steal from one another just to come up with five. So we're gonna share the same list on that one. I would not be surprised if they just cut it's the crazy thing where it's like cut best adaptation, add best remake, add best expansion or best DLC. You know, it's a pretty well, I don't know. Best adaptation, I think, is kind of a cool award in years where it does make sense, but I don't think you can force it every single year because there's just going to be years that there's not enough adaptations. Dude, I was thinking, sorry to fucking keep going with this. Maybe I should throw Erdtree in for best RPG.
Yeah, as role-playing mechanics, you build your character.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw in Erdtree in uh
Poor visions of mana.
I swear.
It
Hey,
can't catch a break.
it's and then the whole team got shut down after it came out. Such a bummer.
That's actually you were talking about what was it Expeditions as well releasing? Was it Expedition? What's Unknown Awakening?
Yeah, I know Nine Awakening. Yep.
Bandai's just had like a massive closure as well.
I
Some
saw that where
some
they're having
big
people just sitting in rooms and
they're
shit.
locking them in basically rooms and giving them nothing to do so they voluntarily quit. It's just like what the hell
That is
is going on?
crazy. It's so like I if you did that shit to me, well, here's the thing. I think that they don't like you can't bring anything in with you. So like if you did that to me, I'd be in that bitch editing videos furiously, doing nothing but editing videos.
Thanks,
But
guys. This is
right,
amazing.
I'd be so happy to be paid to just sit in a room and do nothing but edit my own like free time shit, my own hobby stuff. But I don't think that they're allowed to even like bring stuff. Like I mean, that's damn near torture just to sit in a room and languish as you're wondering what the hell's going to happen with your career. I don't want to speculate because I really don't know anything about what's going on, but that sounds criminal.
Yeah, they it is Japan does things just differently to everywhere else in the world with how they handle a lot of things. So to them, it's probably a lot more normal than it is to us. But
Right.
to us looking in, we're like, what the hell is going on?
Dude, I'd get so fat. I'd just be in that bitch eating like crazy. Just eating on your dime.
Just eating teriyaki pork constantly. You're just like, I'll try all these like Yakuza dishes out that seen when
Right.
I'm playing the game.
My own little mini game. All
Speaking
right.
of mini games, Final
Well,
Fantasy VII Rebirth for Game of the Year.
all right. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna show on the screen
Oh, our
what
previous ones.
yep, I'm gonna let
Yep.
the people in on what we previously had nominated, and what Loon had on his list was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Tekken 8, Astrobot, and Animal Well. So these are our final GOTY nominee predictions. The next time we're in here predicting anything regarding the Game Awards, it will be when the nominees are finally out, and we will be selecting what we actually think is going to win. So,
hmm
Loon, I am going to you had Rebirth on here.
hmm
What I'm going to ask of you is uh, let me know the games you're keeping first off.
You said Astrobot, right?
Yep, you had Astrobot on yours.
Yep.
Okay.
And what was the other one? Sorry.
You had Infinite Wealth. Are you keeping that?
Nope, that is out. That has
Oh.
been cut.
Yeah, we'll actually go by one by one. That's actually more fun. You have Tekken 8. Are you keeping that?
I am.
Okay.
I think for what it's done for the fighting scene, that seriously needs to have a shout out.
Are you keeping Animal Well?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, so
And I
you're
said
not
no, 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 no.
okay. I'm not the brightest. No means yeah. I no concept of what reality is at this moment right now. So I think on your list. Oh, and you also had Erdtree that you were suspecting would win Game of the Year. You keep an Erdtree?
A tree stays.
Erdtree
It
stays.
still feels wrong to do it, but like I
Yeah.
said, moving forward from this year, if it doesn't win it, then we know not to nominate that.
So I think yeah, that's your list right there. So you have two new nominees.
I do.
Okay, hit me.
So metaphor, to no one's surprise, really.
Absolutely.
I was a little bit apprehensive of putting it on there before because it was that thing of it's a new IP. We see so many new IP struggle. So I was like, I'll sit on the fence and wait until it drops because yeah, Atlas very rarely fumble, but anyone can drop the ball. And then
Totally.
Dragon Age.
Yeah. Those previews are so hot for
And Dragon
Dragon
Age
Age.
is only on there because of how good Metaphor is. If Metaphor kind of fumbled, I would have been a little bit more on the fence still. But it's just like, you know what? I've been very careful with hype this year. Let's just get hyped.
Lean into it. All right. So those are your final six nominee predictions: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astrobot, Tekken 8, Shadows of the Erdtree, Metaphor Refantasio, and Dragon Age the Veilguard. So for me, you shall see on your screen Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's Stan.
Hmm.
I'm so inconsistent. Sometimes it's Rebirth, sometimes it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, sometimes it's just Final Fantasy VII, sometimes it's FF7. um, I also have on here Infinite Wealth.
Hmm.
I I'm gonna keep Infinite Wealth. I'm gonna keep Infinite Wealth as the GOTY nominee. I have Astrobot. I'm definitely keeping Astrobot as a nominee. I have Metaphor. I'm keeping Metaphor. So I think I'm only, and I had Dragon Age the Veilguard, and I'm keeping Dragon Age as well. So I think I'm only changing one, and I don't even know. I'm so split on this Erd Tree thing, man. So damn split. I don't know. Are the people who are voting, are they going to vote for a DLC for Game of the Year? Like, I really have no idea. I a part of me thinks it's like a good, like it's a slight flex to keep my same exact list and roll into to the predictions with the exact same list that I had from before. But I'm really, I don't want to be swayed by the comment section. But whenever we put up our last video predicting for Game of the Year, I was stunned by the amount of Black Myth Wukong support. And I know obviously it's a humongous game, 20 plus million copies sold, I think, at this point. The second biggest game of the year outside of NCAA 2025. Like for a single player game, once again, to be selling 20 million copies similar to Hogwarts Legacy. But that's the thing is Hogwarts Legacy, a huge single player game that wasn't nominated despite selling so well. Ooh. Um, man. The thing that sucks, dude, is with it not having a physical copy, we haven't bought it, we haven't checked it out. So it's like I don't know personally from firsthand experience how good it is or is not. And I know it's sitting at like an 81 on Metacritic. That's usually a little bit too low to hit in a game of the
Yeah.
year, especially where I like Hogwarts Legacy, I think was a little bit higher than that, and it still wasn't nominated. But I think Hogwarts Legacy came with a little bit more controversy than Black Myth Wukong, which Wukong has its fair share of controversy as well, I guess, but doesn't seem like it's as like I remember outlets were refusing to cover Hogwarts. It doesn't seem like that really happened with Wukong.
No, not to that degree. But that's the thing, is that if Hogwarts didn't get a nod, which also, generated similar numbers, it was also like a solid, like everybody knows what Harry Potter is, even if you've never read the books or seen the films. If that didn't make the cut, something that's sitting at 81,
Right.
unfortunately, and people have to keep like in mind, it's not fans that are going to be voting on this. That's something that you have to also put on as your little critic hat, is that when it comes to the Game Awards, it's going to be review outlets.
Bro, you might be on to something. I just looked at Tekken 8. That bad boy is sitting at a 90 on Metacritic, a fat 90.
And
Damn.
that's the thing that gives me pause, is that for me, Wukong would be the better game from a player perspective because I don't
Right.
particularly care for fighting games. But the difference is that these reviewers have reviewed it so hot for Tekken compared to Black Myth Wukong. It gives me a little bit of pause to be like,
Motherfucker, Loon. I
It's gonna
am
make people upset, I know, when them awards come around because I don't see a possibility of that being in the top six.
because it also has you look at you look at Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, best-selling fighting game of all time, or best-selling first week of in fighting game history.
Yep.
But it's so much lower in terms of critical reception than Tekken 8. Dude, Tekken 8 might be a really good pull, honestly. Or do I just stick with I might just stick with Erdtree. Keep my list as is. I don't I'm starting to lean more towards I just even though it is eligible by Game Award like in their it's like anything can be voted on. It depends on how many votes it gets. Like it seems like DLC could be nominated from the Game Awards website how they list it out as what can or cannot be nominated. It seems like Erdtree could be,
Yep.
but I don't even know, dude. Fuck it. Balatro. 6.
Oh,
Going
ripping out the
Balatro.
rug, ripping out the rug. I love it.
That 6 slot is that's a beast. That is like I'm pretty confident because I think we got the same exact um one well no we don't. You what do you have? You have Tekken and I have
Mine's
and
Tekken and Erdtree.
yeah and I have Infinite Wealth and Balatro. I'm fairly confident. Balatro and Infinite Wealth I am a little bit less confident in, and I'm assuming Tekken 8 is one of your kind of one of the pieces of your puzzle that's a little bit shaky, you feel?
Yeah, but then I'm thinking like that's what I mean is that mine was based on like, trying to hit numbers and stuff. And I think
Same.
if I'm being 100% honest, I think Dragon Age 4 is the only like big question mark because this is the big break for this new BioWare. If this fumbles, you don't know what kind of effect that has because EA has very, very little patience. Look at what they did to Visceral and stuff like that.
Right.
You make like a couple of wrong moves, which they have. That's it. They just cut it. They will cut ties with you. They don't care. They're very, very cutthroat. So it doesn't matter if they've announced Mass Effect and stuff. They could easily just can that and be like, "You've wasted this money on this title, and then your big comeback for Dragon Age, and you've missed the mark on that. Like, we're not wasting more money on you."
And it feels like with Dragon Age or with BioWare specifically, they almost are continually sticking around only because of critical reception from their past games. Because it's not like BioWare, they don't put out these massive, 20 plus million copies sold. I think Dragon Age Inquisition is their biggest game ever, which is only like 10 million copies, if I'm not mistaken. Um, which only 10 million copies. That's great success, but it's not like they push crazy, crazy units. And so it's like if Dragon Age the Veilguard, if it doesn't do well critically, we know it's probably not going to shake the world commercially in terms of Witcher 3 level numbers.
Mm.
But I think if it does well enough critically, it still kind of keeps that thing where EA's like, we'll keep them around because they're the critical darling. We need that sort of we whenever you think of EA, having BioWare associated with it is good for our overall publishing outfit. Um,
Yep.
yeah, this is tough. Infinite Wealth, Dragon Age, Balatro. There's a lot of shaky ground here. I'm very excited to see what ends up getting nominated, and we shall see that mid-November whenever old Keeley gets on stage and then reveals the nominees. Loon and I will re what's the thing in Dragon Ball Z? They
I have no idea. I've never seen it.
they do the little combo thing where they like join forces.
Oh, there
Uh
you go. Yep.
I don't know. We'll join forces again whenever that happens, whenever Keeley gets out on stage and reveals all the nominees. And as we have our predictions for the nominees, what will be nominated, whenever they are officially announced, we'll come in and predict what will win out of all of the different award nominations.
Mhm.
So stay tuned. Also, stay tuned for our ranking video at the end of the month. It is going to be a juggernaut of a video. Bring your popcorn, prepare, take a day off. It's a big one. It's the biggest ranking video we've ever done on the channel by a mile because October is irresponsibly packed. And yeah, so that's going to be a beast of a video. So stay tuned, my good people. Subscribe if you enjoy the content, like it, all that stuff. If you feel the
The desire to.
I am struggling today, Loon. I am really, really struggling today.
This
I
is why
appre
you need me around.
I do, man.
Kickstart it.
Get the brain, get the cobwebs out of the brain. That word right there. Desire. That's yeah. Desire. That's a six-letter word that I couldn't conjure up the spirit to unleash. So I now at this point I'm literally just saying words. Spirit up to unleash. I gotta get out of here. Appreciate you guys. We shall see you very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.